Hey, Soul Fam, how you doing? So, welcome if you're new to the channel, and welcome back if you love me. I love you too. We're going to talk about it. Last night, Cancer's sign was drawn for the wheel. And the message came out about the sacred love, right? And after what transpired after the live, of course, you guys know I go back and I rewatch all of my videos. And now if you're subscribed to the channel and you have your notifications turned on all, you would have gotten the notification, because I've had the weekly duality reports from past members only lives airing on the channel every Monday, right? If you're not subscribed, you would not get the notification, and to go find it now in the videos, you'd have to like scroll back a year, almost 2 years ago. I'll share this one to the community post. If you guys are guided to check it out, you can. But I was re-listening back afterwards to the weekly duality report for this week from the 10th to the 19th or something. And immediately after that, I caught a video by 𝐤𝐞𝐫𝐿, who is a well-known sociopath who talks openly about her diagnosis and how she feels about it, quite openly. And I'm taking in all of this information in lieu of the reading that transpired last night with Cancer. And I thought to myself, because it's super clear, like sociopaths view emotions as weakness, right? They view emotions as weakness, empathy as weakness. There is a reason why narcissists, sociopaths, and empaths are constantly finding themselves in dynamic ships. There is a mirror that needs to integrate there. As an empath myself, right? As an empath myself, I've learned the value of certain sociopathic, quote unquote, traits. As a sociopath, they would have to integrate certain empathic traits. Hey, Tanya, how you doing? Let me give you an example. As an empath, we can ruminate in our emotions for what feels like forever. We have a really hard time letting go of certain things emotionally, emotional connections, right? Sociopaths on the opposite end of the spectrum may feel things, but it's very fleeting and it goes away, and they don't give it another thought. They don't give it another thought. Where an empath can ruminate on something for years. A sociopath might think on it for 30 fucking seconds and then be over with it and never think about it again for 10 fucking years, right? As an empath, I've learned it. It's not natural to me. I had to learn it, how to shut my emotions off. It's not that the caring is gone. I'm still an empath, but the emotions had to get turned off, because the emotions can be detrimental, right? Ruminating inside emotions that don't feel good is detrimental. I've learned how to turn them off with hindsight, self-acceptance, and gratitude. Sociopaths on the far opposite end of the spectrum would have to learn certain traits in empathy, including unconditional giving and compassion, but to the right people, because sociopaths are not exempt from dealing with and falling victim to other sociopaths. What are sociopaths? Sociopaths are essentially cluster B personalities, and then they have, you know, a different spectrum within it. You know, there's true narcissists who are not sociopaths. There's sociopaths. There's people with BPD. There's psychos, right? Literal psychopaths, which are on a completely different far end of the spectrum. In order for a sociopath to enlighten to a place of union within the self, no different than an empath is learning certain traits about sociopathy in order to find that union within the self, sociopaths would have to learn to integrate the value of empaths and to return the energy that an empath gives, that unconditional compassion and understanding. They would have to learn that in regards specifically to empaths. Both are learning how to use their emotions as tools. If this does not feel good, it is in misalignment. Something's off, right? And when you stick around in connections that don't feel good, you are causing damage to yourself, psychically and spiritually. A sociopath and empaths, right? But sociopaths are the way they are as a survival mechanism. Both empaths and narcissists or sociopaths have gone through deep trauma as a youth. We have a predisposition for certain things, right? Genetically speaking, and trauma can set them off. Sociopaths and empaths dealt with so much trauma as a youth that this predisposition to empathy or this predisposition to sociopathy took hold as a defense mechanism. For an empath to learn the value of sociopathy, they would have to integrate it as a survival mechanism, as a counterbalance to their extreme empathy. They would have to learn sociopathy as their salvation from the ruminating and degradation of the self via toxic emotions that they linger in. Sociopaths would have to understand that empathy is their salvation and needs to be integrated in order for them to not suffer, right? Empaths need to integrate sociopathy as a survival mechanism so that they no longer suffer, and vice versa. Sociopaths need to integrate empathy as a survival mechanism. It's not about emotions being weak. It's about emotions being telltale signs or tools that you can accept and understand in order to get you out of wherever you're at that doesn't feel good. Empaths do not understand what it's like to stop caring, and it needs to be integrated. Sociopaths do not know what it means to genuinely care and give unconditionally to the people that love them and care about them in that empathic state. They need to learn it so that they do not fall victim to other sociopaths, other people that would use them, manipulate them, take advantage of them, betray them, make their life a living hell, right? They need to learn to value empathy. It's something that can be learned. Just like an empath can learn sociopathy as a salvation, sociopaths would need to learn empathy as salvation. With the cancer reading last night, it was talking about two people in an extremely toxic dynamic of power and control where things are completely falling apart. And I guarantee you it's because both of them are dealing with that end of the spectrum, right? Narcissism and beyond, right? BPD, sociopathy, all of those things that transpire in cluster Bs. The other person was in union within the self and is the light. They are the empath. But they're the empath that learned sociopathy, the empath that integrated being able to turn the feelings off. Person number two knew that the person in energy number one was their highest counterpart, and also knew that they could not intervene in the healing process. An empath who has not integrated sociopathy would be trying to save that person. They would be trying to rescue that person and pull that person out of the situation, taking the lead on love. But the first person would not be ready because they haven't learned the value of empathy. They haven't learned how to use the emotions they can feel as tools. Sociopaths typically do not feel remorse, they do not feel guilt, and they do not feel pity. They do feel anxiety, they do feel stress, they do feel fear, and most importantly, they feel rage. When these four emotions are coming up for a sociopath, they need to be able to tune in their emotions and say, okay, this is what I'm feeling. These feelings are not good. The situation and the person I'm dealing with is in misalignment. They're not good for my psychological health. They're not good for my spiritual health. They are revealing my separation of self from the higher spirit that is. No one is not connected to spirit. Some people just refuse to acknowledge it, right? Some people just refuse to acknowledge it. That's when we're dealing with our demons, right? This is a conversation that's come up. We talked about the etymology of the word demon being the separation, D, of the self, man. When we are dealing with our demons trigger up these emotions of fear, of anxiety, of rage, of, feeling taken advantage of, right? When we are dealing with our demons, no matter what end of the spectrum it's on, no matter what your array of emotions are, no matter what spectrum you are capable of feeling, at the end of the day, everybody still feels pain. Whether you're an empath or a sociopath, you still feel pain. You still feel betrayal. You still feel deep anger at people who have hurt us, right? If you can learn to integrate the other, you will find yourself finally outside of those cycles. When I was listening back to the weekly duality report that aired this week, I was going off, and I was kind of joking. I mean, I was dying. I was dying laughing, even watching my replay, because I was dying laughing, like tears fucking laughing, doing this live. It was so fucking good. And it was like, now, in hindsight, when I was the empath in my relationship with who I considered my counterpart, who is in fact sociopathic, I was like, now I was making fun of him. Like, babe, will you roll my cigarettes? I don't want to roll them. And I'm like, I don't want to roll your cigarettes. Like, I'm going to be working for the next 3 to 8 fucking hours. Like, I don't want to have to roll your fucking cigarettes after I'm done. Roll your own goddamn cigarettes. You're an adult. I was talking about taking care of, as an adult, other adults that are children, right? Adult meat suit, children. They want to be taken care of. Take care of me, right? And it's like, one time he was telling me, like, I don't have any clothes for work. And I was like, okay. I was like, so laundry needs to get done. And he was like, yeah, the laundry needs to get done. I was like, okay, well, I'm working. And he was like, well, can you do it after you're done working? And I didn't want to do the laundry after I was done working. Like, the response should have been, well, you could do your fucking laundry. You know, like, you're a grown-ass adult. Take care of yourself. You need fucking work clothes? Do your fucking laundry. I don't need clothes for tomorrow. I have clean clothes. Like, if you need your clothes clean, I'm busy working. Go do your fucking laundry. He would have waited until after I was done working to do his fucking laundry. The answer should have been no. You can explain to your boss tomorrow when you go in your pajamas that you don't have clean work clothes because your girlfriend didn't clean your clothes and do your laundry for you. Like, your boss would be like, so why didn't you do your fucking laundry? You know what I mean? Like, now in hindsight, I would respond differently, right, to the relationship, because I've learned how to turn the feelings off. I can't care about him so much to my detriment. He's a grown-ass adult. He could take care of his damn self. If you don't want to roll your cigarettes, then I guess you quit today. Then I guess you quit smoking, right? Then I guess you quit smoking cigarettes today because you don't want to fucking roll your cigs. I'm busy. I'm busy, right? I'm busy. You have to take care of yourself. You're a grown-ass adult. Like, we are not, as adults, raising children that are adults. You should not be raising an adult. No one should be raising an adult. They know how to adult. They know how to cook. They know at the very least how to order food. They know how to do their laundry. They know how to take care of themselves. They know how to shower. They know how to do these things. Like, they can change the sheets on the fucking bed. They know how. They're adults. They have responsibilities with or without you there. If you are truly sovereign, you can go about your day and take care of yourself. And if they are truly sovereign, they can go about their day and take care of themselves. And where you meet in the middle is where you consider each other. Where you consider each other because you have time to and want to and value taking care of each other. But you should never feel obligated to mommy someone or daddy someone because they didn't heal their fucking mommy daddy issues. You know, I even had a conversation with my son this morning before I went live, and I was like, you know, my son is also an empath. Why is he an empath? Why? Why didn't he flip into the sociopathic spectrum? Because his father didn't care. And so he wanted to be a man who cared. Became an empath, right? It's deeply rooted. Why am I an empath? Why didn't I go the sociopathic route? Because my mother was a sociopath. She didn't care about people. She didn't care about my father. She didn't care. She was in it for the money. From the gate, clear as day. Saw a way out of the city, right? Talked about it during this live. So I became the exact opposite. I wanted to never be like her. Never. She was a sociopath. I became an empath, right? Never wanted to be like her. When it comes to these dynamics, we have to understand that, one, we are not our parents. We are not our parents. We can choose to mimic and continue in that predisposition of genetics, or we can literally choose to learn something else. We can learn to choose something else. My father was an empath in regards to my mother, but he was a narcissist in the relationship he was in prior. My father had a long, like hours long discussions with me multiple times, sitting up at night outside by the fire pit or in his garage. Long conversations about a woman that he was with prior to my mother. And in reflection, he acknowledged that this woman was the only woman who actually loved him. She was the empath at a time where my father was completely absorbed within himself and didn't care how his behavior affected her. Narcissists do not care how your behavior and choices affect someone else. That's why they'll gaslight. That's why they'll make excuses for their behavior. That's why they'll do whatever they want to do. They'll gamble, they'll drink, they'll stay up all late and party, they'll flirt with other people for attention, they'll let their insecurities run loose, right? And they don't care how it's affecting the other person. They're running on autopilot. They're not letting themselves get deep, right? My father acknowledged that this woman was the only person who ever truly loved him. He was not talking about my mother. He said, I love your mother. I love your mother. And he knew that my mother was abusive. But I love your mother. I would never leave your mother. Right? But he was suffering. The opposite end of the mirror, right, that teaches us. He needed to learn what it was like to have someone not care about him and use him for the love that he was giving, because that's what he did to the woman that he lost. He said she was the one that got away. The empath was the one that got away. And he couldn't go back to her if he tried, because after 2 years, she waited for him. He started dating my mother. He met my mother and ended up getting my mother pregnant. And because she was Italian, or he was Italian Catholic and she was Irish Catholic, you don't have children out of wedlock. They got married. And once you take that vow before God as Catholics, you don't get divorced. He was stuck with my mother in this deep lesson, a lesson he would never forget in this life or the next. It was excruciatingly painful. Excruciatingly painful for my father, which is also why I ended up being an empath. I wanted to save my father from women like my mother. There is a part of me that deeply wanted to save my counterpart from the person he felt was his match. He deeply loves her, popped into empath mode. She is as sociopathic as he was to me. I know that for us to break these cycles, we do have to integrate the extreme opposite in a way that allows them both to shine without being detrimental. It is okay to be sad sometimes. It's not okay to linger in it. Mistakes get made. Apologies can be issued. Yes, they have to be sincere. Can you pick up the pieces where you left off? Not always. Not always. Some actions cannot be undone. Some words cannot be undone. They can be understood and they can be forgiven. But the risk of repeat is not worth it. Right? It's not worth the risk to repeat it. And we have to accept that sometimes. Right? We have to accept that sometimes. In order for the energy of person number one last night to really come into high alignment with the second person, one would have to address person number one being willing to learn and be taught something that is not natural to them, like empathy. Also listening to your intuition, which is completely different. Empathy is when we feel things that another feels. Intuition is learning red flags. They're going to have to be willing to learn empathy and intuition as a survival mechanism so that they don't end up in cycles like they did right? With the toxic individual that they were with, right? The teamster energy was on the bottom of the deck. Is that little fucking gnome whipping the shit out of the orc, right? Whipping the shit out of them in the Harrow cards. Using them, right? Using them as a tool to get what they need in life. They're going to have to learn how to put themselves in the empath's shoes. The empath is the person that loves me and considers me, would never hurt me, would never betray me, would never use me, would never lie to me, right? The empath is a safe person that never, never intends to hurt them or use them in any way. That is not an empath's MO. An empath is not going to lie to get their way. They're not going to use and manipulate and gaslight to get their way from a person. Matter of fact, it's usually the complete opposite. It's brutal honesty, right? Their feelings are pouring out and there's nothing hidden. There's nothing hidden with the empath, right? They believe in transparency. They would have to learn that yes, there are people like them out there in the world, but there are people on the opposite end of the spectrum inside the realm of empathy that they can actually find safe haven in. And they would have to put themselves in the position of the empath before choosing certain things. They would have to learn it as a survival mechanism. Because what happens when they hurt the empath and the empath leaves? The divine mirror of things starts to work and sends them a sociopath or someone equally as dark as them in their own separation of self to be the demon in their reality, to show them you're in separation from your highest self. Your demons are in your reality. Your demons are in your reality. You can't be in separation of yourself. Who had your best interest at heart and you forgot to consider their best interest? You forgot to consider their best interest. The sociopath would have to learn, right? The narcissist would have to learn to consider the empath before making certain choices. A sociopath might see an opportunity sitting out at the bar or in a work environment, see an opportunity to get laid, right? Or get a free drink out of someone or whatever, free meal, right? Whatever the sociopath is doing, and can stop to consider. They'd be like, well, if my empath knew that this is what I was choosing, would they leave? Would they be hurt? They would. Okay, then I can't choose it. They would have to learn consideration and compassion as a survival mechanism. They would have to learn it as a survival mechanism. Otherwise, they will constantly end up in cycles of pain with other people on the same spectrum as them. It's no different when empaths are around other empaths. There's no desire to be with another empath because there's nothing and no one to fix. Empaths love narcissists and sociopaths because they can fix them. They're deterred. They're deterred from empaths because there's nothing to fix. They're considered. That's not something they learned. Empaths have to learn to be considered. They have to learn to listen to their intuition. They have to learn to listen to their emotions. Oh, wow, this feels good to be considered. I want more of that. Oh, this person's not considering my feelings. They're doing things without thinking about me and the ramifications of how I would feel. I need to stay away from that. They need to learn how to shut off the feelings of guilt or remorse or pity for leaving someone who fucking hurts them and uses them and doesn't give them a second thought. Doesn't give them a second thought. It took my dad years to sit there in front of me crying, telling me that he acknowledged this person. He hadn't thought about her for years until it was so bad with my mother. He missed this empath profusely. I rarely ever saw my father cry. And he was crying over the loss of this fucking person. The only person who ever truly loved him. He didn't know what it was like to be loved. It was unfamiliar. And the people that loved him hurt him, right? He dealt with trauma. He dove deep into drugs. He dove deep into alcohol, deep into gambling, right? My dad was an addict through and through. He always used to joke, it's not fun unless you could bet money on it. He didn't care unless you could put money on it, right? Like, that was my dad. My dad was out there smoking weed and doing fucking whippets at 12 o'clock in the afternoon, driving home with his tire up inside his fucking truck because he was that fucked up driving home. You know, like, he wasn't... He was doing this. He was doing this shit with my mother. My mother lost her shit, you know. But it's the point to remember, like, yes, the sacred love in the highest between counterparts is the most beautiful love that you can ever imagine or dream to have. Having two healed people together, that would be the ripple that heals the world, you know. In a sense, that would be the ripple that sets off the healing of the world. But you do need to integrate. You do need to integrate the far other extreme in a healthy way. Like, I've learned to use my emotions as a tool to let me know where my alignment is. Does it feel good or does it feel bad? And if it feels bad, I need to discontinue it. I need to discontinue it. And I cannot feel guilty for leaving. I cannot feel bad. I can't pity them. Right? Even with my last career, my last corporate job. I said, it's not my problem anymore. This feels like shit. It's not my problem. It's not my problem. I loved my entire crew. I was a general manager. I loved my entire crew like family. I could not stay and let my emotions get in the way. Yes, I love them deeply and will always have a space for them should they ever reach out to me. However, I cannot stay in a painful situation because I love and care. I have to consider myself. This doesn't feel good, which means I'm dealing with my demons. It's a separation of self. I have to leave. It's not my problem. It's not my problem. My problem is the fact that this doesn't feel good for me. It's causing me high stress, high anxiety, right? It was taking physical tolls on me. Like, I had to acknowledge it. I have to consider that every step moving forward in my relationship dynamics. I have to. If it doesn't feel good, I gotta leave. I gotta be out. It's not any different for people on the cluster B spectrum of things, the narcissists, the sociopaths. They need to learn to use the emotions they can feel as tools, as a tool of reflection, right? The mirror that says, hey, this person is causing you a great deal of stress. This person is causing you a great deal of anxiety. This person is causing you a great deal of fear state. Can you leave it and not feel bad? Can you find gratitude for the experience? Can you leave it? Because sociopaths, they can get hyper fixated on people, especially if they do flip into empathy, because they do. They do. Sociopaths would lead us to believe that they don't care about anybody. They can hyper fixate on people. Just like an empath can. They can hyper fixate on people. We need to learn when to walk away and stop raising adults. We need to stop raising adults. We need to find gratitude for the experiences and learn who and who does not hurt us. What behaviors can we take accountability for that perpetuate pain? Like an empath, no matter how much they love a sociopath, a narcissist, no matter how much they love and care, would have to say, you can't treat me like that, though. You're an adult, go fucking do it. Without a second thought, no guilt, no guilt. No, do your own fucking laundry. Like, I love you, but I'm busy. You want the laundry done, go do it. Go do it. I'm talking to so-and-so. The narcissist or the empath don't like, well, I don't like you, you know, makes them feel insecure. I'm not doing anything wrong, right? Empath, I'm not doing anything wrong. I'm allowed to talk to people. I love you and consider you always. I'm not betraying you, cheating on you, using this person for this or that because you're inadequate. Like, take a fucking chill pill. And if the narcissist or the sociopath can't take a fucking chill pill and accept that you would never hurt them, that you are not betraying them, and they start to give you more shit, you would have to say, okay, I got to go then. Bye. You cannot be in my reality like that. You are not going to control me when I know I'm not doing anything wrong. You're not going to punish me and cheat on me because I'm talking to somebody else and it's literally a harmless dynamic. You cannot accuse me of things I did not do. I will fucking leave. I will leave. Right? There was a time I had a friend in New York, and it really just was a platonic relationship. Me and this person had gone through quite a bit as friends, and he trusted me deeply as a reader, as an empath. And he ended up relapsing on heroin and ended up in prison for 3 months because he broke parole. And he was going crazy. He was going crazy in there. He didn't know what the point of living was. You know, he was going through the suicidal ideation and everything else that comes along with, you know, being in jail. His family wasn't reaching out to him. His friends weren't reaching out to him because it was the same old, same old. And he's like, I just need to talk to somebody out there who cares. And so I was pen paling. With him while he was in jail and keeping him sane. And we were talking about different readings. He was asking me about the secret code name readings. He was asking me about the different readings that come up and different things like that to kind of integrate his own healing while he was in jail. I left the letters out on my nightstand. I was not hiding it from my counterpart. Wasn't hiding it at all. Like, he could have sat there and read every single letter if he wanted. There was nothing to hide. We were talking about readings and energy and shit. You know what I mean? We were talking about astrology and whatnot. Like, there was nothing in there that was inappropriate at all. It was one friend to another. And that was when I had the dream. That was when I had the first dream that my counterpart thought that I was cheating on him, even though I wasn't. And he decided, well, if I'm cheating, he could cheat. No big deal. He validated why it was okay for him to cheat on me based on the assumption that I was cheating on him when there was no reason to believe that in the outer experience. I never did. I never did. When we have people like that, right? We're talking about integration. My counterpart would have had to stop and said, Grace has never lied to me, at least that I've never caught her, right? Because sociopaths are paranoid. She's never lied to me, at least none that I've caught. She cares about me. She shows me with her actions that she loves me all the time. She doesn't need me for anything. I like to think she does, but she doesn't. She proves it every time. She don't need me. She thrives just fine when I'm not around. Maybe they are just friends. She wouldn't do anything not in consideration of me. She's an empath and she loves me, right? Narcissists and sociopaths have to accept that empaths exist. People with no motive and no hidden agenda that just simply love them And they don't have to wear the mask and they don't have to do all of these things, but they are people, they do have feelings, and they can't not be considered. Right? I had that dream. I had that fucking dream. And he did. And after that, it was like a couple months later, I had a dream that he cheated on me. That was the first time I had the dream. And I didn't have it for no reason. He was. He was. And it's like, the empath should have put their foot down. We were talking about control. Like, an empath is going to have to learn when to say, no, you can't peg me for something that I'm not, and I'm going to leave. You can't stay because you feel bad. You're still a person. You still have connections with other people that you care about. It might not be romantic, but you care about them. You have to make time for them. Like, I have friends. He hated my soul fam. Because they took me away from doing things that he wanted me to do for him, that he was taking advantage of. He didn't genuinely care about me at the time. He didn't. I think a part of him wanted to love me, but he couldn't. He was in love with someone else, infatuated, obsessed with someone else. And everything that he did with me, being in relationship with me, was to get back to this person who he's with now. And that's okay. I learned how to set boundaries. I learned how to read my emotions. I learned how to pay attention to the red flags. I trust myself. I'm grateful in hindsight for the dynamic. And I have to learn that moving forward, because sociopaths exist. Empaths don't realize it. That's the thing. Like, people inherently believe that other people are just like them. That's why an empath can't believe that someone would use them or not care. They have a hard time wrapping their head around that. How could you not care? I cared so deeply. How could you not care? Empaths can't get off of it. That's why they ruminate on things for years, because they don't understand that there are some people out there who are not like them and cannot be like them. Sociopaths are no different. Everybody uses everybody. Everybody lies. Everybody cheats. Everybody manipulates. Everybody is out to save themselves. Everybody is out to take advantage of other people. If I don't take it from you, someone else will. They don't believe that empaths exist. People with no motive. People with unconditional love. People with true compassion and consideration. They don't believe they exist. They believe everybody else is just like them. They learn that there are people that they could take advantage of, like empaths. Just like empaths learn, there are people out there who take advantage of them, like sociopaths. We learn it. But we do not inherently know that there are other types of people out there. Sociopathy and empathy, right? The spectrums of narcissism and deep caring have to find a happy middle. Both extremes cause pain. Both extremes are a separation of the self. Both extremes are a separation of the self. You have to learn how to be sovereign. You can't let other people's energy and choices dictate your day and your mood. Period. Whether you're an empath or a sociopath dealing with other empaths or sociopaths, you cannot let someone else's mood dictate your day. If you do not want to live in a state of stress, you have to choose it for yourself. There is nothing less stressful for a sociopath or a narcissist, nothing and no one less stressful than an empath. Nothing and no one less stressful than an empath. An empath will partner up with a person that they love and care about and give themselves 100%. We're a team. We're in this together, and I will do everything and anything to make your life easier. They need it in return, though. This is what they're learning. Right? Empaths need that in return. If they put forward 100, an empath needs 100 back. That's what was coming up in the reading last night with Cancer, right? They need it in return. And sociopaths need to learn that there are long-term relationship dynamics that they can maintain, healthy ones, that are not going to put them in a fear state, that are not going to intentionally take from them or use them or abuse them in any which way, shape, or form. That it is okay to be seen by the empath, because the empath, the more they see, the more they can help. The more they are let in, the more they give, the more supportive they are. The deeper you allow an empath to get with you as a sociopath, your empath will go to extreme lengths to make life better. They will. Tell me I'm wrong. But you can't hurt them, or that stops. You can't hurt them, though. It stops. Let yourself get deep with an empath, right? Let yourself get really deep. And consider them always. Because the deeper you get, the more they give. You will be surprised. You will be surprised what an empath is capable of creating from a place of love and devotion. Empaths thrive on it. Thrive on doing for other people. They would rather do for someone else than their own selves. So if you let an empath go really deep with you as a sociopath and consider their needs so that they can consider you 1,000%, you just aligned yourself with your golden era. You aligned yourself with your golden era. And where an empath can't necessarily use or take advantage of people, it's not their MO. They love the narcissist. They love the sociopath, because the sociopath will get got whatever needs to get got to move forward, and don't give a fuck. Don't give a fuck. And if it's benefiting the empath, they're not going to care. Unless it's extreme law breaking, they're not going to care. As long as the choices don't affect their relationship with you as their partner. Well, if you lied to this person and they bought it, that's their problem. That's their problem. You were able to move up in the company based on this or that. Someone else got thrown under the bus. Well, that's their problem. They have to learn to listen to their intuition. They obviously weren't aligned with the high path there. Their high path is somewhere else, or they would have never fell victim to the sociopathic narcissistic partner. They don't care. The empath only wants the sociopath to be fucking happy, to be at peace, and not be hurt by them. They want to be the exception. The narcissist or the sociopath can hurt everybody else, but not me. When that's learned, you're in your golden era. Sociopaths have to learn that empathy is their superpower and who to give it to. Empathy is their salvation should they learn it. They can learn it. Just like an empath can learn sociopathy and narcissism. I do have to consider myself sometimes. I do have to put my foot down sometimes. I'm not raising an adult. I will not be tread on. I will not be used and abused. I will not be lied to. I will not be gaslit. I expect 100% of myself back from the sociopath. They're going to have to learn empathy because I demand it. As an empath, a sociopath is going to have to learn empathy as a survival mechanism, as their salvation, because if they can treat an empath with empathy and go completely ham, narcissist, sociopath on everybody else, they're going to be in their golden era. Sociopaths cannot and will not change how they dictate life in the world. Their role is not going to change. They can be that charming individual that will absolutely bully their way to the top. Absolutely. The empath is not going to care. You can be a sociopath, psychopath, narcissist, everywhere else, but don't you ever fucking hurt me, and I will support you to the death. Golden era. Golden era. It's like having the golden harp in your pocket, right? You think about Jack and the Beanstalk. It's like having the golden harp in your pocket. An empath that you treat right. Golden era. But you have to learn the other's opposite. And the reality is a sociopath or a narcissist cannot help their nature. They can't help their nature. They can learn other things, but they can't help their nature. Just like an empath is going to have to keep themselves in check. They're going to have to keep themselves in check forever. Because they're going to want to sacrifice themselves to heal someone else and raise an adult. They're going to want to do that. It's in their nature to save. They have to keep that part of themselves in check and stop saving when it's hurting them. They're going to have to keep it in check. And a narcissist or a sociopath is going to have to keep themselves in check. And when they, in and of their own nature, think they can slide one by, the empath has to call it out for exactly what it is then, put the foot down then, say, you're going to have to tell me the truth now or forever hold your peace because I'm going to walk. You can't treat me like that. It doesn't feel good. Don't fucking lie to me. Don't gaslight me. You have to be honest with me. You can lie to everybody else, but I'm the one you have to be honest with, because if you're not honest with me, I'm out, and I'm your shield. I'm your safe place. I'm the one person you know will not use or hurt you or betray you. Do not fucking treat me like that, or you are on your own, alone in the world. Bet. The empath is going to have to keep the narcissist or the sociopath in check. They're going to have to keep themselves in check. It is not in your nature. It is not in your nature. But you have to rise to the challenge that integrating the opposite is your salvation. It's your inner union. It's your inner union. The integration of opposites, yin and yang, is union. I love deeply. But I'll be fucking damned if I let someone gaslight me and I go against my intuition. Let someone tell me, oh, well, I'm glad it was just a dream then. Bitch, it wasn't just a dream, sweetie. That was my higher self, my intuition, my connection with the greater, letting me know what the fuck is going on because you tried lying to me. You thought you can get one over on me. I will fucking leave. I will leave. Don't play me. You want to take money from me and use me, and you're giving it and funneling it off to someone else? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. You're not buying anybody else the best jewelry but me. You ain't spending $1,000 on no gifts on anybody but me. I'm the reason why you're able to make all that money. I hold you up. The empath will hold up with a strength greater than anything else you've known. As a strength as great as God, they will hold up whoever it is they love. They will hold you up. They will hold you up. An empath will hold you up so that you can achieve the greatest things you want to achieve in life. But they need to be held up. They need to be held up. 100%. The pedestal needs to be shared, or someone needs to get knocked off. Like if there's a fight that brews on top of the pedestal between a sociopath and a narcissist, like, come on. You can't be bullied off the pedestal. It can't be one way. You both got to sit up there. You both have to value each other more than anybody else in the world. It's the only way it actually works. That's the only way it actually works. They have to learn each other as survival mechanisms, as salvation. The empath wants to fucking die. Wants to die when the person they've held up, when the person they love more than anybody else, when the person they would never betray, never in a million years lie to, that they love wholeheartedly more than anybody else. The empath wants to die when they are betrayed. The feeling is so bad. It hurts so bad to be betrayed. And when sociopaths, narcissists find that relationship, this is the beauty of Chiron. Find that relationship where they absolutely pour themselves 100% into and just want to be considered in return, and they realize they're being taken advantage of. They don't want to die. The rage, they're on the opposite end of the spectrum. The rage is so profound. That's why there's crimes of passion. So fucking angry. They'd kill somebody and not care. If they could get away with it, they would. The rage is real. The rage is real. And it's not a good feeling to be betrayed and to be in that blind rage. You know, like, trust. I know that we've been taught that narcissists, sociopaths can't be healed. And if what they mean is healing, meaning learning empathy, no. They're never going to be as who they are on the whole, an empath, but they can learn the value of empathy and those who are in fact empaths as sacred, safe places in soul for them to be seen and felt and considered and not judged, right? The mask can actually come off and they could be real and vulnerable with an empath, because it only makes an empath work harder. The more a sociopath actually reveals to an empath, like, it really does, they will go harder than they've ever went. You just got to be honest with them. That's it. Just got to be honest and hold compassion. Like, you can't hurt your empath. And that conversation needed to be had, because not everybody is going to learn it. Not everybody is going to integrate it. Not everybody is going to understand it. It has to be learned, though. It does have to be learned, though, which means you got to lead by example. You've got to trust that if you are here on this channel as an empath, that it is okay to shut people out that trigger feelings of fear or pain or sadness. If they're abusing you in some way, like, you have to be able to leave and not care that you left. You have to be okay with not being their medicine, that they will learn it and they will get the medicine from someone else. Maybe a spoonful of sugar that you are is not helping the medicine go down. Maybe they need toxic fucking waste to help the medicine go down. And they will manifest someone who is toxic as fuck. My dad manifested my mother. Toxic as fuck to learn that lesson. Took him years to value his empath, but he did. And he accepted and acknowledged that my mother didn't love him. He stayed because he loved her. He stayed because marriage, Catholic, right? We were talking about labels all this week and having to break quote unquote vows or commitments that we've made to labels, right? Juno energy. To let go of the labels. In the live that I went over on the weekly duality report, I was talking about a video that I had caught Robert Phoenix doing from Robert Phoenix 11th House Astrology. He was talking about children and feeling like children, and having children was a Promethean act. And that it was essentially signing you up for a life of work and toil, right? That it was a constant labor and not a good one, even though he has kids, right? And I thought, well, what we don't heal, our children are doomed to repeat they're going to have to heal it. Our children are literal extensions of ourselves. They share our DNA. If we do not heal ourselves, our children will be forced to heal it. I would not want to put that on my son. The empath and narcissism dichotomy, especially because even in my relationship with his father, I was the empath. His father was the narcissist. This is why my son is an empath, because he completely rebelled, right, against being anything like his father. But I don't want him to not care about himself in the process. He can't be with these people that hurt him severely and don't care about him or give him a second thought, who are selfish and don't care who they hurt in order to gain. He's got to heal it. I don't think that children are a labor of pain. I don't look at children as a Promethean act. I can understand why he would say that, because the vast majority of people are unhealed, in a state of separation, dealing with their demons, which is why children end up being the reason why people stay together. Well, we got to stay together for the kids. We got to stay together for the kids. We got to stay together for the kids. We're married. We have to stay together for the kids. They use label and obligation. Parent is a title. It's a label. Husband or wife is a label. We have to stay together because of the label or obligation. What if it's preventing the healing, though? What if it's preventing the healing, though, and you're staying in painful cycles because of the label? Or you're using the label. You're using the label outright because you're afraid to be alone. I think that's the real reason why my parents stayed together. It wasn't because of us kids. Us kids told them to get a divorce. They were so miserable. And when the excuse of staying together for the kids didn't work, they said, well, we got married till death do us part. We took these vows. We're married. We're married. We're married. They were just afraid to be alone. They were afraid to heal. They were afraid that they weren't lovable. I will say this. I will say this about my counterpart. It was painful, excruciatingly so, to be with him as an empath and him being a sociopath, especially even now acknowledging that he probably has not given me much thought since we split. 30 seconds best, right? Unless he thought he could manipulate something out of me, I don't think he gave a thought beyond that, right? No feelings at all. However, I know that I will say I think I've done an exceptional job healing through it. And even with all the healing, the love is still present after all this time and all these years. The love is still present. The detrimental behavior, the savior complex, the let me fix you and raise an adult, be a detriment to myself, facet of me has left. And yet the love is still there. I do not doubt that him and I will see each other again in life, in some lifetime, some timeline, if not this one. I don't doubt it. But I'm not hurt by him anymore. I'm not hurt by him anymore. I think everybody can learn to integrate. I can accept that he's different than I am. And that if things were a certain way, we would make an incredible team. And then it's okay if it never happens. That's profound. That's profound. I don't base my worth on him. I don't base my value on him. I don't base my life around him. I do what the fuck I want. I do what I want. I don't give a fuck. But if he were to learn, right, be willing to integrate empathy in regards to me, that it would literally be him and I against the world, I would be in. I would be in. If that were the case, like the reading last night, if that were the case, yeah, I'd be in. The love didn't go anywhere. Despite all the healing and all the history. And I don't feel weak for accepting that truth. I think I'm good on my own if it's not the way that I need it. As an empath, that's my nature. I need 100%. 99% is not 100. It's got to be me and you against the whole fucking world, babe. You know? And if it's not that, I'm out. And I don't care. I won't give it a second feeling. Integrating, right? Integrating. I don't care. It's all or nothing. It's all or nothing. Either we're in it, Bonnie and Clyde, ride or fucking die, us against the world, or I am good on my own. I'm sitting on my pedestal and it feels nice. It feels nice. No one and nothing and no one is going to knock me off of it. I'm good where I'm at. I'm good. I've accepted and learned when it's time to go. And my son, right, that quote unquote Promethean act is my empath that I have fully embraced. My son would never let anything happen to me. Never. Even if, you know, let's just hypothetical, me and my counterpart were to try and work it out. He tried to slide one by me 10 years from now. Tried to slide it by me 10 years from now and it fucking hurt. And you stopped considering me just once because 99% ain't 100. I'd be out and my son would undoubtedly have a place for me to feel safe. He would have a place for me to feel safe. And I wouldn't feel bad and I wouldn't feel guilty for letting him love me as an empath to an empath. I wouldn't feel like a failure or fear being like a failure because my relationship with a sociopath slipped. No, I would be out. And I would let my counterpart go find whatever dynamics he needs to learn that he fucked up. To learn that he fucked up. He fucked up. I think you have to draw really healthy boundaries with yourself, no matter what end of the spectrum that you're on. Use your emotions as tools, as guideposts to figure out where you're at. Learn new survival mechanisms. There's more than one way to survive. There's more than one way to not feel pain. There's more than one way to feel amazing love. There is more than one way. Empathy, having empathy. And I do love that sociopaths and narcissists do feel it. Even if it's just once. And it's usually with the person that hurts them the fucking most because they're a worse sociopath or narcissist than they are. They're not prepared. That's the one thing. Sociopaths think they're superior to everybody. They are not prepared when they cross another one. They are not prepared. They think they're superior. They think they can lie and everybody believes them. Like, delusion. I think that we all have strengths and superpowers. Empathy is a strength and a superpower. Narcissism, sociopathy is a strength and a superpower. But it's not the only strength, and they're not the only superpower. Like, think about it. Would you rather be, let's talk about like heroes and villains and like comic book world for a second. If you were a superhero or a supervillain, and you had like your superpower was speed, right? Maybe you had hyperspeed. You can move at hyper fast speeds. And someone else could read minds. What if you could share superpowers? Would you really sit there and argue, well, my superpower is better than yours? No, my superpower is better than yours. I don't know what you're talking about. Like, would you really sit there and argue, or would you figure out a way to teach each other? Would you work together then? What if the person with super speed and the person who could read minds linked up and said, I'm never leaving you and you are never leaving me, and we will never hurt each other, and we will both get to wherever we're going at hyper speed, and we will both have everybody's thoughts read, because I'll tell you everything. I'll tell you everything everybody is thinking to keep you safe, and we can get the fuck out of Dodge when it's bad. You and I can both hyperspeed get the fuck out together when we read minds and understand that this person is not going to do well by us, and we could be out as fast as possible. Aren't we stronger together when we share our powers? Why would you fight with somebody else trying to prove your superpower is better than someone else's when they're both fucking superpowers? And you can simply lock in with each other and share them. Share them. That's golden era. That's two people in their highest light as authentic individuals. They're not trying to be the other, but they absolutely see the super value of each other and will not betray the other no matter what, because they're stronger together. They're stronger together. This is the discussion that needed to be had. I don't want to get people's hopes up with counterparts and blah, 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 and this is going to happen and that is going to happen. You got to be on your fucking A game. You got to be on your A game. You've got to keep yourself in check. Not everybody chooses of their own free will to heal, to share superpowers. Not everybody does. Stay on your pedestal. Put yourself up there if you haven't been up there for a while. Value yourself. Value yourself and your preservation and your happiness and your peace above all others. And figure out who is up there with you, who is worth being up there with you. There is no one more worthy of being on a pedestal with a narcissist or a sociopath than the empath. No one more worthy. And as an empath, You are going to have people try and knock you off that pedestal all the time. And you've got to be able to claim that fucking pedestal, like over my dead body. Over my dead body, you're going to knock me off this fucking pedestal. I am the most valuable asset to anyone. I am the most valuable asset. And I will not be treated less than. And when I meet other empaths, I will value them and let them stay on their pedestal and not make them feel less than. Ever. Ever. Big lessons. Big lessons. That was a divine conversation and a half. We went for an hour and 15 minutes. I'm going to wrap this live up. I appreciate y'all for checking in. I'm going to go live and we're going to spin the wheel. We're going to spin the wheel. That'll be a completely separate live. So I love y'all and I will see you in just a bit. All right. Yep. All or nothing. 100%. Before I go, Rita, Kelly, Christina, Tanya, and Kristen. Thanks for being in the chat. I love you guys.